Hello and welcome to Voices to Dream, the Transformation Series. I'm Suzanne Mann, and today's episode is about self-awareness. Before I start, I just wanted to highlight that I am not a psychiatrist, a psychologist, a counselor. I am simply here to share some of the tips and tools that I have used in my life to live a healthier, happier, more productive life. So I may not have those credentials, but I am a human being that struggles with all the same things as you do, I think. And I have had to overcome and live with anxiety, depression, and 3 kids, living life and trying to just do the best we can. So that's my credential, and that's what I hope to share with you and have a chat about today. Now, in regards to self-awareness, anyone who's listened to my longer podcasts would know that nearly every episode, unless I forget, we start with a check-in. And that's where I ask my guest how they are checking in. For me, this is more than just a hi, how are you? Because so often in life, I feel like we tend to just say, yeah, I'm good. Or, it's a bit of a flippant answer. So for me, when I ask someone how they're checking in, I am hoping that I'm letting them know that I am here to listen and that it's sort of like a safe space for them to please tell me how you're going. That's what I hope for from my guests. And that's what I always try to give when someone checks in with me. What does this have to do with self-awareness? Well, for me, I think self-awareness means taking the time to check in with yourself. So it might just be a moment a day. It might be a few times during the day. But just that few minutes, seconds, whatever it is, to stop and think, what is going on with me right now? How am I feeling? How's my body feeling? How's my mind feeling? How are my emotions? I just had an instance today where I was in a store and it's Halloween time at the moment. And I was feeling great. I was feeling okay, but I was in this store for quite a while. And I started there was this, those spooky, I don't even know what you call them, but, like the statues that are there that are just, making these wah, ha, 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 scary laughs and, a ghost thing that's moving and saying this stuff. And I didn't really think about it until I got a phone call, and it was from my husband. And I must admit, I sort of snapped. I was very snappy with him, and it was not a great conversation. I got off the phone and I thought, what's going on, Suzanne? Check in with yourself. So that's what I did. And you know what? I stood there and I thought, oh my goodness, just take a breath for a minute. The noise from these Halloween things was driving me absolutely crazy. And I hadn't realized, and I was frustrated because I'd been in the store for longer than I wanted to be. There were lots of people there. It was hard to get a park. It was all of these things put together. And I thought, you know what? I just went and took that out on this phone call on my husband. And there was no need for me to do that. So just taking that minute to check in, really think about what went on in that, what I was feeling. I was feeling tense. I was like, a bit in my head. And doing that check-in, I stopped, figured out what it was. Straight away, I sent him a message and I said, look, I'm really sorry. This store is sort of making me crazy. And that just felt so much better to me. It explained it to him, and it allowed me to realize, okay, this is what has triggered me at this point in time. So that's what the self-awareness is that I'm talking about here. Taking time to think about how you're going physically. Now, sometimes that might be something like that it is in your stomach, that you've got a knot in your stomach or something like that. Or it might be that, yes, your heart is racing, or just that I don't know, you start crying, whatever it is, it's putting some words to it. Now, very often I find that what I like to do is, if I'm able, then I'll take a minute to journal it, to write it down. Or sometimes I might even think, wow, what does that mean? Why am I reacting this way to this situation? One of the areas that you might need help with is a vocabulary with it. Now, this is something that I just did for myself. And again, I'm just sharing my tips. But when I started thinking about how I was feeling, I found it very difficult because I couldn't think of words to describe how I was feeling. But I thought, you know what, this is really important, not only for me, but also for my children, for example, because I wanted them to be able to explain how they were feeling. So I went on Dr. Google and I simply Googled sensation words, physical sensation words, emotional sensation words. And I've actually got a link that I'll add to the bottom of this that you might like to use. I printed these out, put them on the fridge, and I find it really useful sometimes. Now, my favorite one though is actually the anger wheel. And if you're on the video, you can see. Otherwise, on the audio, again, I'll put it below. But basically, why I love this one so much is because very often when we realize we are in anger, you might know that you're angry, but the most important part of it is figuring out why you're angry. There's always something behind the anger. And why I find this so useful is because I find it useful for myself to then be able to work on and figure out that anger. And also even just in situations in my relationships as well, with my kids, with my husband, with my family, my parents, whatever it is, to look beyond and think, hey, that person's angry. It's probably not about me. Let me figure out what's going on with them. And maybe I can then work backwards to find out where the anger is coming from. Often behind anger, you've got something like on the wheel, things like frustration, confusion, jealousy, depression, embarrassment. These things all trigger that anger mechanism within us. And once we can figure out that that's the reason why, it makes it a lot easier for us to work on ourselves and understand ourselves to then take action. One thing that I have added to it, so it won't be on your copy, but I do suggest, is behind the anger, I have added down the bottom here my own 2 little points. I added, it could be hormones or it could be tiredness. Because for me, I realized after a while that I was going up to the wheel and I thought, you know what, I'm actually really just tired. And it wasn't on there. And I thought, no, that's something that I need to add. Hungry could actually be another one. We all heard of hangry. So those are my tips for self-awareness. I suggest you check in with yourself, because in understanding how you're feeling, you're better able to then take action and work on it. If you are feeling great, that's fabulous, because then that gives you the keys to understanding that what you're doing makes you happy. And that's something that you should be including in your life when possible. If you're not feeling great, or, then that's giving you an indication as well. It's telling you perhaps those people aren't the people you should be around, because it's not sitting well with you, or that activity maybe isn't the way you want to go, or maybe it's something you just need to work on. Now, you might also just be feeling neutral and at peace, and that's fabulous too. It's just about understanding how you're feeling at any point in time in your body, your mind, and your spirit. My challenge to you is to just give it a try. Have a think about it. Discuss it with other people if you like. But really, this is one just for you. This is about being aware in yourself. I hope you've enjoyed. I'd love to hear from you. Please comment, share, like, subscribe, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Thank you for being with me. Bye-bye.